Today, I will be doing my Christmas book haul along with a Greco-Roman thrift store book haul that is literally the best deal I could ever have gotten. Let's get to it. First, I'm going to start with the Christmas book haul, which are just the 2 books my parents gave me for Christmas. So, the first book is one I actually listened to a little bit in audiobook form from the library, but the audiobook ran out and I want to physically read the rest. And that is A Sky Beyond the Storm by Sabaa Tahir. So, this is the 4th and final book in the Ember and the Ashes quartet. So, I will not be telling you the plot of this book, but An Ember in the Ashes, which is book 1 down here. I have a review for, which I will link before. I also have a review for A Torch Against All Night, which I will link below. And I recently finished The Reaper at the Gates, so no review yet. But An Ember in the Ashes takes place in the Martial Empire, which is semi-inspired by the Roman Empire, but not entirely. It does have a lot of mythology that seems to reflect mythology from desert regions in real life. So there's Jinn, and there's Ifrits, like Sand Ifrit, Sea Ifrit, Cave Ifrit. So that sort of mythology. The 2 main characters, Layla ends up working as a spy where she's sold as a slave to the commandant of the school Blackcliff for the elite soldiers known as Mask in the Empire so that she can save her brother. She has to pose as a slave. And then Elias was kidnapped as a child and forced to become one of those masks and is currently in the school. And it is a really cool story. I think the first 2 books are about even with different flaws, but I still gave them 5 stars because I thought they were really good and I enjoyed them. And then the 3rd book so far is the best one in the series. And this one seems like it's at least as good as the 3rd one. So I'm super excited to finish this book. Okay, so the next book my parents got me was a book they just picked up at Goodwill because I told them I was into Greco-Roman stuff. And this book, I can barely pronounce it, but is Euthyphro, Apology Crito Meno Georgius Menexenus by Plato. So it's the Dialogues of Plato, Volume 1. And this is it. It has an inappropriate body part on the front, so don't look. But yeah, so they got me this. It's writing by Plato, and I'm curious to see what it's about. I did not expect to get this, but it's always cool to get something you don't expect because I almost always just have a list of exact books to get. So this is fun. And also they got it from Goodwill. So it's affordable. Now, the other books I got, there are 8 books here. I would not have gotten 8 books. I got them from a thrift store. 8 books is still too much because the cheapest books were $2.50 and most of the books were $4 free. They just gave me them for free, which is crazy. I'm going to show you them all now. So the first is Pocketful of Knowledge, Ancient Rome. So it's a little bite-sized book about the Roman Empire, a little bit of everything. And I already flipping through it learned one cool thing, and that is in the Roman Empire when someone was sick, they would sculpt a little sculpture of the body part that is ailing them and bring it to a temple when they prayed to leave as an offering to the gods when they prayed for their healing. And they would also sometimes do it after they already healed and leave the little sculpture as gratitude in the temple. So here's a little sculpture of an ear that someone used while praying for healing, which is such a cool fact. I never would have guessed that. So yeah, that's really cool. And then this one is the one I might be most excited about of the ones I got from Savers. So I'm going to just put that down there. I'll tell it to you last because so cool. The next 2 books I got are in a series, like a anthology, I think, or a collection together because they have the same covers and are similar things. So these 2 books, one is Euripides, and one book is 3 plays by Euripides, the Bacchae, Medea, and Hippolytus. So this is a Greek playwright who wrote over 80 plays, only 19 of which survive today, and it has 3 of his plays. And then this book is by Sophocles, and it has Antigone, Oedipus the King, and Oedipus at Colonus. So I'm not familiar with any of Euripides' plays, but I do know Oedipus by Sophocles. So I'm curious to read them. And as you can see, the covers are very similar. This one has the white blocking though, so I kind of like this one, how it looks better. But then the back, same style, and they're by the same publisher. So these are definitely meant to be together, and they fit nicely together. So that is cool, because I want to research more Greco-Roman stuff, because the story I'm working on takes place in Rome, so I want to understand the culture, and a lot of Greek culture applies to Rome too. And the next one I got is Epigrams by Martial, who is a Roman poet who created the form of epigram, which is a type of poetry which I am not actually that familiar with. These epigrams are about everything in Roman society, from slavery to schoolmasters to aristocratic elite. It has wit and wisdom, and it evokes not the grandeur of Rome, but rather the timeless themes of urban life and society. So this is really cool, because I feel like it seems like a very down-to-earth of what life would be like there, and also a poetic format that originated in Roman Empire, because I want to learn also about the literary formats that they used back then. And this is really cool too, because all the poems on the left side of the page are in Latin, and then there's the English translation on the right, which again is really cool, and I am excited to read this. Also, it's a nice, quick little read, so that I am excited for this. Also, because so much of the work is Greek, it's nice to have something specifically Roman, even though you can learn about Rome, some of Roman culture from Greece. It's nice for something specific to the empire I am focused on. The next one is another Roman work. So it is an epic poem, and you probably have heard of epic poems by Homer, such as the Iliad and the Odyssey. Those are the two most famous. But there are also two famous Roman ones, and I was able to get one of them. And that is by Ovid, and it is Metamorphoses. And this epic poem is literally, or maybe not every single, but it is pretty much every single Greek and Roman myth in one connected story. So this book does divide it, so there are labels of the different myths when they're being talked about, like see the little heading right down here. However, even though there's labels for when the myth changes, it's still one connected, streamlined story, which is so cool. And it was written in the Roman Empire, and it's just, I'm excited to read this. I want to get the other one by Virgil, which I think is the Aeneid, which I have not, is the only one I don't own of the four that I really want to read. But yeah, I am excited to read this. And then I got two fiction books that take place in the Roman Empire, because as someone who wants to write a fiction book that takes place in the Roman Empire, I should read some fiction books that take place in the Roman Empire, because you should read the genre you write, and I really have not read much of this genre. So the first one I got is Cleopatra's Heir by Gillian Bradshaw, and I'm super excited to read this. I just picked it up. It's an old high school book, and it doesn't look like it got much love, because this is completely blank. But I'm going to read the inner blurb of this one for you, since it's fiction. The might and power of Julius Caesar, the man who conquered the known world. The beauty of Cleopatra, the woman who conquered the conqueror. Together, they could have forged an empire whose power had never been seen before. Tragically, it was not meant to be. But what of the son who was born of their passion? Gillian Bradshaw gives us a possible answer in Cleopatra's Heir, a riveting historical novel drawn from meticulous research and a unique historical premise. The young son of Julius Caesar and the fabled Cleopatra. Caesarion was seen by some as the hope of the marriage between Rome and Egypt, by others as a folly of a commander's lust for a wanton foreign schemer. For the new Roman ruler, Octavius, Caesarion is the threat that could topple his dreams of a safe and peaceful Roman Empire. The brutal truth is that Caesarion could not be allowed to live. But what if he somehow managed to survive the inevitable assassination and went underground to hide his identity? How would he find a way to live when he has always chosen duty and honor, even though his life has been shadowed by forces greater than anyone should have to cope with? Caesarion will travel the lands that he thinks he knows so well, only to discover that he knew his people not at all. And only after that discovery, when he loses it all and is forced to confront his humanity, will Caesarion finally come to know friendship, honesty, and love. and the essential truth that a man can be noble and true, bereft of land, titles, and even a name. Dun, dun! So yeah, I am excited to read this. It sounds really cool. And again, I want to read stuff in this setting, and this sounds like a cool, fun story where the character learns and stuff. And yeah, I honestly picked the book because of this setting, but it still sounds cool to me. I like historical fiction because I don't know. This book seems like it will have some cool adventures. Also, I may have been pronouncing the protagonist's name wrong the whole time. I will look it up by the time I review this book. But the last of the fiction books is Medicus by Ruth Downey, which is a New York Times bestseller of a book that takes place in the Roman Empire. So that is really cool. And I want to read it. Again, it's the Roman Empire. I want to read fiction books that take place in this setting. So I'm going to read the blurb to you. And this one seems like it's a bit more of a mystery thriller. Divorced, short on luck, and in need of a new start, Gaius Petrus Russo makes a rash decision to seek his fortune in an inclement outpost of the Roman Empire, Britannia. But his arrival in Devil, more recently known as Chester, England, does little to improve his mood, and even less for his prospects. After a straight 36-hour shift at the army hospital, he succumbs to a moment of weakness and rescues an injured slave girl, Tilla, from the hands of her abusive owner. Now he has a slave who won't talk and can't cook and drags trouble in her wake. Before he knows it, Russo is caught in the middle of an investigation into the deaths of prostitutes working out of a local bar. A few years earlier, after he rescued Emperor Trajan from an earthquake in Antioch, Russo seemed headed for glory. Now he's living among heathens in a vermin-infested bachelor pad and must summon all his forensic knowledge to find the killer who may be after him next. Who are the true barbarians, the conquered, or the conquerors? It's up to Russo, certainly the most likable sleuth to come out of the Roman Empire, to discover the truth. With a gift for comic timing and historic detail, Ruth Downey has conjured an ancient world as raucous and real as her own. Ta-da! So yeah, that end part definitely felt like advertisement more than like a blurb where it's like, yeah, this is the funniest book character. He's awesome. And the author is amazing. But yeah, this book sounds really interesting. It's a forensic mystery book in the Roman Empire. Based on the blurb, it almost sounds like it's a later one in the series, but I remember I looked it up in the store, and this should be the first book in the series. It just seems like this character has a lot of backstory that makes it feel like it's not. So, but it is the first one according to Goodreads, so that's what it is. But yeah, I just saw the title. I was like, yep, that's a Latin word. This book must take place in ancient Rome. And I was right. So now for the book I am super excited about. It just sounds so cool. I didn't expect a book like this to exist. So this is The Mammoth Book of Eyewitness, Ancient Rome, the history of the rise and fall of the Roman Empire in the words of those who were there. So this book is a collection of memoirs, letters, official reports, inscriptions, and household accounts from people who lived in the Roman Empire. It goes from the rise of the Roman Empire through pretty much every notable big thing that happened to the end of it. And even then, there's some everyday stuff. I saw there's some of these that are about assassinations, gladiatorial shows, rebellions, Jesus being crucified. There's accounts of, and then there's also just love letters and a kid complaining in this. It is so cool. Just all these collections. It's in 3 parts: the rise, the middle of it, and then the fall. And I am just so excited to read this, to read about the Roman Empire from the perspective of the people who live there. I feel like I will learn a lot of this, and also it's just cool to realize that people throughout history have always been humans with their own thoughts and feelings, and this one just sounds crazy cool. I never expected this book to exist. I expected there to be fiction books in ancient Rome. I knew there was mystery thrillers. I expected there to be poems and plays and epic poems from Greece and Rome. I did not expect someone to take all the accounts and make an entire book collecting these in chronological order. That is awesome, and I'm so excited to read this. This book sounds so cool. Look at it. And I don't even care that there's a dent in the cover. This book is awesome. I'm so excited to read it. But yeah, these are all the books I got. Didn't pay for a single one because I got all the ones I picked out were free. And then my parents got me 2 for Christmas. So yeah, I am super excited to read these. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know all your thoughts on these books down below. I hope you had a Merry Christmas, and I wish you a Happy New Year. Later.